Good day, grade 10s. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to this chemistry lesson where we're going to be looking at calculations involving masses. Okay, so in this lesson I am mostly going to explain this example that I put in the PDF. I'm going to walk through it with you guys. So please make sure that you have a pen and a paper or your book, your chemistry summary book, so that you can write all the steps and the explanations that I'm going to be giving. So we should also, before we get to that, we should look at the steps that are involved when carrying out these calculations, right? These are the steps that you follow, so make sure that you understand them. You observe that number 1 says that you have to write a balanced equation for the reaction. What will happen in most of the cases is that you will be given a statement like this one, which reads, all alkali metals react with water to produce hydrogen and the corresponding alkali metal hydroxide. One of the typical reactions is that between lithium and water. Write a balanced chemical equation for the reaction between lithium and water. Okay, so you have to know how to write the balanced chemical equation, which is why we spend the whole of lesson 14 just looking at how to balance equations, how to write equations, and how to balance them. That's why we spend so much time doing that. And then you must then be able to look up the molar masses of all the reactants to say, if you are given lithium, what is the molar mass of lithium? That's just basically to say what is the atomic mass of lithium, which is 7. If it's water, what is the molar mass of the molecule of water? So you must be able to do that. Convert the number of moles of each of these substances that take part to mass. So if you're told that you have 2 moles of lithium, you should be able to convert those 2 moles of lithium into mass, which becomes, if 1 mole of lithium is 7 grams, then 2 moles has to be 14 grams. Calculate the exact masses by means of ratio that I will explain through this example that we will be doing. So please just pause the video, look at the steps that you follow, and then I will continue. Right, so let's observe that the first part A of this question, asks us to write the chemical equation for the reaction between lithium and water. So this is a generalized equation. It's a specific equation for the reaction of water, but you will find that when we talked about the reactions of group 1 elements with oxygen and their reactions with halogens and their reactions with water, we explained which products would be produced. Right, products are what is produced. Reactants, right? These are the reactants on your left hand side of the equation. On the right hand side of the equation you have your products. So you should know how to write this equation and how to balance the equation. So please write down the equation. Write it down. 2 moles of lithium react with 2 moles of water to produce 2 moles of lithium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. Right. Item B. How many moles of hydrogen can be formed by the complete reaction of 6.23 moles of lithium with water? How many moles of hydrogen can be formed by the complete reaction of 6.23 moles of lithium with water? So the first thing that you should be able to do is to go back to your equation and ask yourself to say, on this equation, what is the reaction ratio? How many moles of hydrogen are produced by 2 moles of lithium? Because on this equation, we can see that 2 moles of lithium are reacting to produce 1 mole of hydrogen. This is 1 mole of hydrogen. That's not 2 moles. That's 1 mole of hydrogen. Even though it says H2, because hydrogen exists as a diatomic gas, we know that H2 represents 1 mole of hydrogen. Right? So this is only 1 mole of hydrogen. We don't put the 1 behind the H2 because the same way I said, you will never say 1 Maria, you will never say 1 Jane Sikopo, or 1 Devon, or 1 Tino. You will never say that. Okay, you just say Devon, Tino, or whatever. Right? But if there were 3 of you at the same school, and then we'll say 3 Ritas or 3 Tuthis, but you only say Tuthi or Rita. That's why we don't put the 1 behind the H2, but that's 1 mole of hydrogen. So now, if 2 moles produces 1 mole, 2 moles of lithium, if they produce 1 mole of hydrogen, What about 6.23 moles of lithium? How many moles of hydrogen are they going to produce? You go back to using proportionality. Direct proportion will tell you that if 2 moles of lithium produce 1 mole of hydrogen, therefore 6.23 moles of lithium are going to produce more moles of hydrogen. So you just say if 2 produces 1, then 6.23 is going to produce more. Then you put the bigger number on top because it's producing more. 6.23 divided by 2 multiplied by 1. And it gives you the answer. Punch it into your calculator. It gives you the answer, 3.115 moles. That's what it gives you. And then because here our answer is to 2 decimal places, you say 3.12 moles of hydrogen are produced. So you just use the ratio. The ratio is enough to tell you what the product is going to be. Let's go on to item C. If 25 grams of lithium reacted completely with water, how many moles of lithium hydroxide would be produced? Okay? So now you again go back to your reaction. You always go back to your equation. And you want to look at the reaction ratio and say how many moles of lithium are produced when lithium reacts with water. For every 2 moles of lithium that react with water, 2 moles of lithium hydroxide are produced. But now we have been given the mass of lithium and not the number of moles, which is why we should be able to then convert. Remember from our steps here, look up the molar masses of all the reactants and products, then convert the number of moles of each of these substances that take part into the mass equivalent. Okay? So here, the 25 grams that you are now given, you should change it to moles. And you find that those 25 grams, remember the number of moles of how many grams of lithium are there in 1 mole? You'd say there are 7 grams. 7 grams. That you just find it on the periodic table. The atomic number is the number of grams that you find in 1 mole. 7 grams. So these 7 grams, if 7 grams are equivalent to 1 mole, what about 25 grams? Again, use proportionality. It's very simple. If 7 grams is 1 mole, 25 grams is going to be more, right? Which is why they say here, given mass, which is the 25 grams, divided by the molar mass, 7 grams. Each mole has 7 grams. 7 grams per mole. So you say 25 grams is going to have more moles. So you say 25 divided by 7 multiplied by 1. And that gives you 3.57 moles. 3.57 moles of lithium are reacting. This is not the answer. 3.57 moles is not the answer. It's just a conversion of 25 grams. But then we know that from this equation, 2 moles of lithium produce 2 moles of lithium hydroxide. That's a reaction ratio of 1:1. That is a reaction ratio of 1:1. So if 3.57 moles, if you have a reaction ratio of 1:1, how many moles do you think will be produced when 3.57 moles of lithium react? Reaction is 1:1. 1:1. If you knew currencies, like what people do in our country, they just know currencies every single day to say $1 gives you 17 Namibian dollars. That's a ratio, 1:17. But this ratio is 1:1. It means that these 3.57 moles are going to give you also 3.57 moles of lithium hydroxide because it's a reaction ratio of 1:1. What I need you guys to do is to pause the video, go back and listen to what I said about item B and item C. Make sure you're writing down these things step by step so that you can also understand them. If you're just looking at these numbers and you're saying, yes, I understand, that's fake news. That's absolutely fake news. You don't understand. Write these things down. So pause the video for about 2 minutes, go back, look over all this material. Right, so now moving on to item D, where it says calculate the mass. Calculate the mass of lithium hydroxide required for preparing an 800 millimeter solution of concentration 2.5 moles per cubic decimeter. 2 moles, calculate the mass of lithium hydroxide required for preparing a solution of concentration 2.5 moles per cubic decimeter. So what are you going to do? What you're going to do is you're going to go back now and observe here that you're saying 800 milliliter solution. So what we did first was we changed the 800 milliliters to cubic decimeters, because all of our calculations are in cubic decimeters. Observe that if a solution is 800 milliliters and it is a concentration of 2.5 moles per cubic decimeter, if we were to increase it to 1 liter, which is equivalent to 1 cubic decimeter, what do you think would happen to the concentration? Would the concentration increase or decrease? Remember, we can only increase it to 1 liter by adding more water, by diluting it. So the concentration would reduce. Right? So what would happen here is that you would then say, because it's reducing, you say 800 or 0.8 cubic decimeters divided by 1 cubic decimeter multiplied by 2.5 moles per cubic decimeter. And it gives you a concentration of 2 moles per cubic decimeter. Right? So the number of moles required for you to prepare this would be 2 moles of lithium hydroxide. 2 moles of lithium hydroxide will be required. But what you're looking for is not the 2 moles of lithium hydroxide. What you're looking for is the mass. Is the mass of the lithium hydroxide that is used in preparing that solution. So now what do? You know that how many grams are there in 1 mole of lithium hydroxide? How many grams are there in 1 mole of lithium hydroxide? Lithium hydroxide, you're now going to add the mass of lithium plus the mass of oxygen plus the mass of hydrogen. And that's going to be 24 grams molecular mass. But then you have 2 moles. So you say 24 grams multiplied by 2, that's 48 grams. Because all you're doing is, all you want to know here is to say, we have prepared a solution, right? You have actually reacted lithium and water, and you have prepared a solution that is 2.5 moles per cubic decimeter, but you only have 800 mils of it, right? So it's easier for you to change this and say, but if it was 1 liter, then the concentration would be 2 moles per cubic decimeter. Okay? Then if it's 2 moles per cubic decimeter, you are now changing those moles to a mass. And you know that 1 mole of lithium hydroxide is equivalent to 24 grams. 2 moles is equivalent to 48 grams. That's how you then get about calculating the mass of the lithium hydroxide. What we're going to do in the lesson, I hope you're going to watch this video in the evening. I'm going to indicate that you watch this video in the evening and you try and do these calculations before the lesson in the morning, right? Try and do these calculations. It's only number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay? Number 2, number 3, number 4. So you just try and pick one. Okay? I would say so and so do this one, but some of you then will just be missing from the lesson. So please, for those who watch the video in the evening, try and do the calculations before the lesson, because we'll end up spending the entire hour with you just doing these calculations. We're going to do these calculations in the lesson, and then I think I'll also give them to you as homework. So these questions number 2, 3, 4 will still be submitted also as homework. Right? They'll actually be submitted as homework. I think what we can do is, let's take the first 45 minutes or the first 35 minutes of the lesson to do these questions, and then everyone submits their work to my email, and then we can revise, because this is important stuff. This is very important. If you're going to become a chemist, you're going to become a pharmacist, or whichever field of chemistry that you're going to follow, you have to know how to do accurate calculations. Otherwise, you're just kidding yourself. Otherwise, you're just playing with other people's lives, because you're going to be preparing a lot of these formulas to save people's lives or to kill people's lives. Hopefully it will be the former. So thank you guys for watching the video. See you in the lesson.